Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Your Competitive Edge from Baird Warner. I'm Lauren Walker. I'm Senior Director of Strategy here at Inman. And today I get to talk to Dean Rouso. Dean is VP of Sales Development at Baird Warner. And Dean, you're going to bust some myths for us today, and I'm excited about it. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. I really look forward to it.
Yeah, so our topic, the truth about teams. So let's dive right in. And I feel like the place to start is with a definition because the word teams is a bit of a buzzword these days in real estate. It's kind of all over our content, it's all over the articles. So would you define a team for us?
Well, let me start with this, and then I'll define the team, okay? Let me give you some background here. So I started in the industry in 1998. By 1999, I formed a team. Now that was before all the buzzwords about teams. In fact, companies and regulation authorities statewide, none of them knew how to deal with this. But I started at the time when this was brand spanking new. And for about 20 years or so, I ran a team. And I ran teams that were larger and I ran teams that were smaller, but I ran teams and they were top performing teams, not only in the state, but also was recognized in the nation.
Hmm.
So that's my background. Now,
Okay.
I have studied the industry for years and years and years and have gone to some of the Inman events and listened to all the team things and have a lot of friends around the nation that have large teams
Mhm.
and small teams. And so things have changed. So the definition of team, I'm not going to go through, but what I will do is tell you the way that I'm seeing the redefinition of teams.
Okay.
The redefinition of team, in my opinion, is a collection of people that you have hired to do things that will allow you as a team leader to do your highest and best use. Now that sounds almost the same as we've always thought of
Sure.
teams.
It doesn't sound too different.
However, here's where it's really different. No longer do you need to hire, train, manage, cover vacations, fire, hire, train, manage, because what's really happened, and here's how the really teams have been redefined, is all of those things that you used to hire folks for and cover payrolls, whether or not you had the business at that particular point in time, because we all know it's like ups and downs.
Right, right.
You no longer have to commit to somebody because all those things are really covered by independent contractors that are out. If you outsource all those activities that really is not your highest and best use, and certainly if you're a great top producer, not your forte, you can create a team with never having an employee. And so my redefinition of teams is a collection of people, no different than before, but now they're no longer necessarily in your office. You're no longer providing that space and that
Mhm.
cost. They're no longer your employee, but instead you're contracting for these services for folks that are specialists in each of those areas. So a team can be one person with a collection of people,
Mhm.
including mortgage, including title, including attorneys, as well as transaction coordinators, listing launch specialists, marketing specialists, and everything in between, except for what you do best, and that is being in front of people. From the time that you have a client until the time the contract is consummated, that's your forte. The negotiations, the counseling, all of that that you do, that's your forte and that's what you should do.
And that's what you mean when you say highest and best use.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when someone hires you, they hire you for you.
Yes.
They don't hire you because you do the paperwork well.
Right.
They don't hire you for you doing great accounting. They hire you because you have a reputation in the community for doing an awesome job and counseling them from the time that they become your client and commit until the time of closing. But all of those things that do not require a license, all of those things that we used to have to hire staff for
Hmm.
with the right company or with the right strategy or with the right business plan, you shouldn't really have to do anymore. You don't have to do it anymore.
So one thing that I keep seeing when teams are talked about and idolized, it's because they have so much business. They're too busy. So they build a team. What's wrong with that statement? What would you say to that?
Well, building a team is fine, but again, it's a redefinition of what a team really is.
Right.
What's wrong with hiring employees and training them and doing all those things? There's nothing wrong with it.
Hmm.
But first of all, it takes valuable time away from you
Mm.
doing the things that you're best at, which is really going to get more business and taking care of those clients that have committed to you. And number two, it's risky.
Mm.
You know, we've just gone through something that nobody expected.
That's for sure.
We had some states that were completely shut down. You were not an essential business. No, you can't leave your house.
Right.
And we've had some states that have said, you're an essential business, but you can't show houses. You can only do it virtually. And there's been some real challenges from a financial perspective. And even the large companies have furloughed people. We never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right. Right.
So when you have people on payroll, you're taking a risk.
Mm.
And number two, management, and I did it for years and still do, management can be a challenge sometimes, especially when you're busy. So the busier you are, the more you should consider outsourcing things so you don't have to manage the process. You've got specialists that are committed to doing that.
So take us through it. What does that look like when you're a team of that's outsourced? When you're the primary person and then you have this kind of floating team of as needed specialists. What does that look like from soup to nuts?
So this is what I would tell you to do, and we'll do it just real quickly here. I would take a transaction from the very beginning and start with a buyer and then move to a seller and outline every single block of activities that are necessary to go from meeting the client all the way through close and even afterwards. So let's do that real quickly.
Sure.
So at the very beginning, when you meet the client, obviously when you meet a client, you've got to make a presentation.
Hmm.
You doing the physical PowerPoint presentation or whatever you use, that paperwork is not necessary for you to do. We've been in the habit of doing it ourselves. Now I want to do it myself,
Hmm.
but you don't need to do that. You need to have a specialist do that. They should hand it to you. You should outsource it. They should hand it to you, and you should be able to present it after you review it once.
Right.
So in Chicago downtown, it's required that the listing agent be present for all showings. Now, it doesn't have to be the listing agent, it can be somebody on their team. But what we've done at Baird Warner now is we are launching something called Broker Assist, where there's agents in the office that are trained and signed up for this pool or this team of agents that when an agent, a listing agent, needs to have somebody attend the showing on their behalf with keys, with some background on the property,
Hmm.
they hire them on a showing by showing basis to do that for a minimal amount of money. The listing agent doesn't have to be there. They can be doing more productive duties. So that's the beginning. So the contract is written after the showings are taking place. At that point in time, that forte that you really provided for that client, which was counseling them on the neighborhood, counseling them on the property, and then helping them negotiate When that contract is written, that contract can be handed to a transaction coordinator, or at Baird Warner, the department that we now call contract care. From the time the contract is handed to that specialist, it is taken care of. Every attorney call, email, every lender call, email, and God only knows, it is not uncommon for us to have to call a lender once without getting a return phone call, okay? Every single piece of that, even setting up the home inspection, even attending the home inspection, can all be outsourced if it's an unlicensed duty, though we've also got a division that has licensed agents that are willing to do that on behalf of other agents. So now the contract has been written, it's handed to the transaction coordinator, the home inspection takes place, and now you step back in because you are the negotiator and negotiate inspection issues. Once the negotiation is done, then you hand the contract back electronically, so to speak, and every single aspect is taken care of, all the way from reminding everybody attorney review is almost over, the financing contingency is due on such and such a date, reminding the client that they have one more piece of paperwork that's necessary, and confirming that there is a clear to close. Once there's a clear to close, then you can step in and go to the closing, or again, that can be outsourced.
Wow.
Now, our division actually will send reminders every step of the way to say, don't forget, the closing's in 4 days. Did you get a closing gift? So often, agents are looking at their schedule and they're going, oh my God, I got a closing tomorrow. I haven't gotten a closing gift. I'm so stressed, I can't even think of what to get them.
Yes.
And we're now in the process of even doing that for the agents on a menu. So pick one, we'll take care of it. We can have it delivered, or however you would like to have that taken care of. So again, our broker assist program will then allow, if you want, to have the closing attended, if there still is attendance of closings in your area with what we've just gone through. But you can hire somebody to do that as well, to take the lockbox off if there's a lockbox, to take the keys out, to pick up the check. Look, your highest and best use, creating more business and taking care of the business that requires face-to-face. Everything else should be outsourced because it's not your haboo.
Yeah.
Your highest and best use.
I feel like this upturns the apple cart on the idea of what a team is. You know, there's this idea of this cadre of people who are constantly working together and ushering everything through at every stage. But you're saying it's actually quite fluid, and it should always come back to what is the best use of your time and talent.
It really is. So here's the thing. No different than hiring and training somebody that's staff that you're paying, and if you're doing it properly, unemployment compensation, Social Security, matching, withholding, and everything else, and all that accounting that is being done, it's going to take some time to create the right folks or the right services or hire the right services, but then it's done.
Yeah.
Nobody goes on vacation because they have somebody else to cover them. And if somebody gets sick, that's fine because somebody else is covering them. And you are copied on every single communication, piece of information, even assigned duties when you forget, like getting closing gifts.
Right.
And it's going to take a little work up front, but once you get it done, it's very fluid. Now, we're creating it at Baird Warner and are halfway through creating it with various stages as they're defined, like transaction coordination. We're working now on broker assist, which is a checklist that you can submit and say, oh, I need somebody to do 3 showings. I'm out of town and 3 hot properties came on and I don't want my buyer to lose them. Oh, I need somebody to attend the home inspection because I'm showing somebody $1 million property simultaneously, and I don't need to be at the home inspection, or at least I can attend the last hour. And we're creating at this point in time something also called listing launch. So you take the listing, you hand the listing paperwork to a listing launch specialist, and based on a menu that you choose, the listing is launched either in the private listing network, Facebook, and then uploaded to the MLS. And from that point in time, they follow a marketing plan that you have actually presented to the seller. Your highest and best use is getting the listing.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get the listing, your highest and best use is to negotiate contracts. And once the contract is negotiated, your highest and best use is to do a simple check-in with the seller on a periodic basis. But to take care of all the minutia, it's like a doctor scrubbing their own emergency room or their own operating. They just don't do that.
Right. So what I'm hearing and what's really impressive is that Baird Warner has built out the infrastructure for these fluid teams to come and go as needed based on what the individual agent is looking for. For folks outside of Baird Warner, you're recommending a kind of an audit, right? An audit of all the steps of the transaction and highlight those things that fall into your highest and best use, and everything else outsource.
That's right. So there's companies that are out, you know what, several years ago, companies were formed like Elance and
Mm-hmm.
that you could post individual jobs and at a fraction of the cost and much more expeditiously,
Yes.
you could get something done. And it's a worldwide network, which is awesome. Okay. So what you need to do is outline those particular steps. Take your day. What do you do with your day, and what could you outsource to do that? And then there's companies out there that specialize in real estate. I won't mention those, but there's tons of them that do transaction coordination. There's one of them that does that, or two or three. There's people that do marketing for listings. There's people that do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll need to interview, put them together, and work on it that way. Or you join a company that has those things in place. You know, I'm going to go one step further. Is that okay?
Go for it.
I don't think we discussed this, but let's go one step further. So the fact of the matter is, one of the biggest problems in our industry is thinking we can do everything. And one of the things we think we can do that we don't do very well, considered the new consumer, is converting internet leads.
Mm,
And the reason we don't do a good job is because they no longer expect a 5-minute response.
right.
Now they expect an immediate response.
Yes.
If you're in a listing presentation, if you're writing a contract, as you should be, if you're in the middle of negotiations and an internet lead comes in and it takes you anywhere from 10 minutes to 2 days to get back to them, you lost.
Yep.
It's
Done.
over. And that's how these companies, these arbitrage companies, and I won't mention any names, but we all know how many there are, and they're spending billions of dollars on advertising to try and capture our customers first,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can convert them immediately because they know we're not good at that, and then sell them back to us at 35%, which means you're on a 65% split.
Right.
Before the split, we now at Baird Warner are working on a lead conversion service where all the leads that one of our agents is creating on the internet will go to a department, and that department will immediately respond, convert it, and send it back to the agent since it was their lead. Again, what is your highest and best use?
Right.
So literally, we have now had our marketing department put together a piece where an agent can now call themselves a team, and they have pictures of those folks that are supporting them. my transaction coordinator, my marketing department, my lender, my listing launch specialist, my marketing. I mean, it's awesome. And
Wow.
so everybody could have a team and they could be a single agent. And if they get so busy, thank God, if they get so busy, they can't handle the influx of business they've created because they focused. That's when you hire and you have everything else in place. That's when you team up or hire a buyer's agent or another agent. But I'll tell you what, there are agents that are doing 100 transactions by themselves by outsourcing everything.
Sure.
So that's what I would do. If
That's
I
pretty exciting, Dean.
That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah. Well, you've changed the way I think about teams. I think you've changed the way many of our viewers have thought about themselves as a team or joining a team or building a team because it's a hot topic. And now you're kind of introducing, new ideas here. So I'm really glad that we could bring this to our audience today.
Awesome. My pleasure.
Well, thank you again. And if folks want to learn more, they can go to bairdandwarner.com and learn about all of these ways that they can grow their team.
Absolutely. Would love
All
to
right.
help.
Dean, take care. Thank you.